Listen properly.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to another strand-soeking episode of the Voetsak Files. And boy, am I going to tear apart an utterly useless organization today. But first things first, I want to give a special shout out to Jan Stein, Francois de Toy, and to Zander, who joined the channel as members. Zander, especially to you, you were my first member to join, and I'm going to send you a special thank you. I really appreciate it, guys, and I will work hard to keep you guys informed and entertained. You really helped me grow this channel, well, maybe into a one-eyed tsotsi, I don't know, only time will tell. And last, but definitely not least, a special thank you to Anton Boysen for his donation. Anton is actually one of my former colleagues at the US Embassy and one of the best investigators I ever had the honor of working with. Anton, I'm going to convert it to a 10-kilogram bag of cat food to feed the feral colony. And luckily I know you're a cat lover too. And I promise any donations I get from anyone else who enjoyed and appreciated my channel will also go towards this worthy cause. And just to mention, another way you animal lovers can support this cause that cares for hungry, sick and abandoned or injured cats is to buy one of their really great coffees, as a portion will go directly to funding their operations and also help me use this channel to make a real difference. The link is in the description. And one last thank you for the awesome response on the last episode. I've picked a few excellent comments to highlight here before we get started. First up, Koenraad Meyer said, they must testify under oath. What a joke. They could not even do their jobs under oath when they were appointed to their positions. Waste of time. Peter Cameron said, Mkwanazi is coming for them. Run, Tsotsis, run. South Africa has genuine leaders. Well, Peter, I've said it before. Mkwanazi is the one ray of hope in all of this. A genuine exception. Stuart Campbell said, I'm almost positive Cele misunderstood oath for oats. I'm quite positive you're right. Jake Meyer said, it's not very worrying for those whose eyes are already open. Scorpion said, here's a little info nobody knows. 60% of Zimbabwe estate belongs to the police. How is that even possible? Well, Scorpion, by now we know that in South Africa, anything is possible. By the way, I like you quoting me on the here is a little info nobody knows. That was quite sharp. Johan Wheatley said the fact that an Arab Spring event has not yet been triggered in South Africa mystifies me. It really has become time for these ANC misfits to be bodily thrown out of power. I like the bodily thrown. Now there is talk of bringing Motsepe into the fold. Error begets error. And Llewellyn Henman, I really enjoyed your sharp, funny comment, even though I'm not going to display it on screen. Lobes said, we all know MK soldiers killed political opponents pre-1994. They also admitted to running drugs to fund the fight against apartheid. Only a fool would believe this stopped after 1994, and the political pressure on Mkwanazi basically proves this. Spock Zizi said, Malema and Cele grinned, mocked and joked in court in Senegal, while the EFF sang Kill the Boer at Brandon Horner's murder trial. They are as thick as thieves. Well, yeah, Spock, it's shocking, but maybe not that much anymore. We have sadly grown used to it, haven't we? Brandon Horner's murder really showed how savage South African criminals are, unlike any in any civilized nation. All right, that's as far as the comments go for today, but please remember, I do read every single one, and I really appreciate you taking your valuable time to share your thoughts. So, please keep them coming. Okay, now back, at last you may say, to today's episode, where, probably because I have a terrible toothache, I decided to take it out on an organization that I'm going to ruthlessly expose as one of the most bloated, one-sided, and frankly useless institutions in South Africa, the South African Human Rights Commission. Or, as ordinary South Africans now see it, the Selective Rights Commission. Because let's be honest, the South African Human Rights Commission has become a disgrace, a taxpayer-funded circus dog that only performs tricks when it's politically convenient. It pretends to defend human rights, but in reality it protects the powerful, hunt the powerless, and bleed the public purse. So I want to start with 3 infamous cases where the South African Human Rights Commission went in like vultures. Okay, first up was the case of Adam Katsavelos in 2018. He filmed himself on a Greek beach, not even in South Africa, boasting there wasn't a single black person in sight. Well, it's Greece, so I wouldn't be surprised, but anyway. Unfortunately for Adam, his comment went viral. I think one of his friends stabbed him in the back for the fame of it, but anyway. And of course, the South African Human Rights Commission bounced. Well, Adam was eventually settled by paying 150,000 rand to a foundation. What else is it than a back pocket of one or other comrade? But that wasn't all, unfortunately for Adam. His family business, St. George's Fine Foods, fired him. Restaurants cut ties. The Smokehouse and Grill in Braamfontein, where he had a stake, closed its doors after EFF savage protests and boycotts. So I always have to say savage because that's what the EFF are, but anyway. Suppliers cancelled contracts. Even Nike distanced themselves because of the backlash against Adam's wife, who was basically totally innocent in all of this. But yeah, nothing Nike does to appease the far left surprises me anymore. That's one reason why I stopped buying their freaking running shoes. The other reason being that they didn't even last more than 300 kilometers. But anyway, so in short, the South African Human Rights Commission made sure that one viral video destroyed his reputation, his career, and his livelihood. And they probably patted themselves on the back and awarded themselves fat bonuses for the excellent job they did. Okay, so the second case was the infamous one of Penny Sparrow. In 2016, she posted on Facebook comparing Durban beachgoers on New Year's Day to monkeys for leaving the beach and ocean heavily polluted with garbage. Offensive? Yeah, probably. But look at the punishment. The equally one-sided and useless Equality Court ordered her to pay 150,000. I wonder why they have all of them pay 150,000 rand. Maybe it's just a coincidence. In damages to the Oliver and Adelaide Tambo Foundation. Seriously? I'm not going to ask a real dumb question. So what exactly happened to the money that the Equality Court so conveniently decided should go to an organization I've never even heard of? Anyway, the Magistrates Court also decided it had to bask in the spotlight and slapped her with a criminal conviction and another 5,000 rand fine, as if 150 wasn't enough, and a suspended prison sentence. Freaking hell. Talk about overkill. Maybe she should have been thankful that the death penalty was abolished. Otherwise, that would probably also have been on the table. She was ostracized, humiliated and bankrupted, and died of cancer in 2019. Well, the third well-known case was that of Vicky Momberg. In 2016, shortly after being the victim of a crime, she lashed out at police who apparently tried to assist her. Using the K word dozens of times while in a state of shock and trauma, the courts, with the Human Rights Commission, loudly cheering on, sentenced her to 3 years in prison, 2 years of which she actually served. Yes, 2 years in prison for hurling insults in a heated moment, while the cockslag criminals she was a victim of ironically still walk free. Typical South African scenario. So she became the first South African ever jailed purely for words. You see a pattern here. Ordinary South Africans get crucified for angry outbursts, Facebook posts, and drunken rants. Well, hopefully not for YouTube rants. Their lives are ruined, their names forever toxic, while violent criminals and empty skulls like Julia's remain free to do whatever they want while the HRC are focused on their KFC. Now, just compare that to empty skulled Malema. He has stood on a stage, fists raised, and sung "Kill the Boer, kill the farmer." Well, this isn't a joke or a Facebook rant. It's a direct call to murder against a whole community. Just look at this. This is the same video clip President Trump played for the whole oblivious world to see while Ramaphosa was left embarrassed and blushing. Okay, maybe not blushing.
Kamaza, kill the Boer, the farmer, kill the Boer, the farmer, brr, pa, pa, brr, pa, pa.
Isn't this empty skull the poorest excuse for a flippant clown? And what does the South African Human Rights Council say? That it's a struggle song, that it should be understood in historical context. Basically translated to, threats of murder are excused. But insult a cop while in a state of shock or complain about a trashed beach, and you'll be bankrupted and jailed. This is not justice. This is freaking bias. Plain and simple. Okay, so the South African Human Rights Commission then wasted years chasing people who, listen properly, displayed the old South African flag. Yes, it's probably controversial for some. Yes, it may even offend others. But for frickin' Pete's sake, man, it's just a frickin' piece of cloth. I'm heavily offended by the ANC flag, as are many others. I was a proud member of the South African Police when we considered that flag representative of the enemy, of bomb-planting terrorists. Yet, the ANC flag was never banned. I still often have to see it, even though it makes me want to puke, even see it in the national flag, where it makes up a nauseating 2/3 of the freaking thing. Okay, so, what makes their disgust more important than mine and a million other South Africans like me? The old South African flag is not a call to violence. It's not a death threat either. Yet these geniuses declared it hate speech, dragged people into court, and even pressured Meta to censor images of it online. Can you believe it in this day and age? Their request read as follows: in line with its constitutional duty to promote and protect human rights, the South African Human Rights Commission has made a submission to the Meta Oversight Board, reiterating that South Africa's one-sided courts have already pronounced on the issue of harmful symbols, such as the apartheid-era flag. The useless Supreme Court of Appeal decision in AfriForum versus the equally useless Nelson Mandela Foundation Trust confirmed that the gratuitous display of the apartheid flag constitutes, listen properly, hate speech. Well, of course, Meta showed him the long middle finger, and rightly so. So in their twisted logic, a flag is more dangerous than a brain-dead politician calling for farmers to be killed? Really? So, here lies the bare truth. Ordinary citizens, they get heavy fines, jail, and their reputation destroyed. Politicians? Well, excuses, context, free passes. The South African Human Rights Commission is strong against the weak and weak against the strong. Okay, so let's peel back the curtain on who runs this Human Rights Commission circus. The commissioners of the Human Rights Commission are not independent watchdogs. They are appointed by the useless parliament and confirmed by the useless president. Politicians picking the watchdog. And we're surprised the watchdog doesn't bite politicians. The commission has also been plagued by toxic internal culture. Its acting CEO, Chantal Kissoon, was suspended and resigned after allegedly, listen properly, making a racist remark. Isn't that hypocrisy in the highest order? On top of that, annual reports show audit and performance problems, governance issues, questionable spending. Well, you know what? The one thing I love is they always call it questionable spending. You know, I always love the fact that they always call it questionable spending. Like going on a luxury trip and staying in the best 5-star hotels for work? Questionable spending. Give us a break, man. Yet millions of taxpayer rands keep flowing into this bloated, utterly useless bureaucracy. This is not a proud Chapter 9 institution. This is a freaking taxpayer-funded disgrace. So the South African Human Rights Commission is supposed to be the watchdog of human rights. Instead, it has become a circus dog. Merciless against Katzavellos, Sparrow and Momberg. Spineless in the face of Malema's murderous chants. Obsessed with banning a flag while the real hate speech go unchecked. And riddled with internal racism, political appointments, and questionable spending. The result? The South African Human Rights Commission is no longer a protector of rights. I'd say it's a biased, bloated, and taxpayer-funded freaking disgrace. South Africans deserve an institution that defends everyone's rights, not just those that are politically fashionable. Until then, the South African Human Rights Commission has no credibility left. It's finished. It should be freaking put to sleep. So what do you think? Has the South African Human Rights Commission lost all credibility with you too? Or do you still think it serves any purpose at all? You know, thinking of it now, I'd actually love to hear from one of those so-called commissioners. In fact, I tagged them in a post on X and even sent a WhatsApp to 2 of them, telling them to watch this episode and to like, share and subscribe. But let's not just kid ourselves. Expecting a response from them is like expecting Eskom to keep the lights on. These are people who spend their taxpayer-funded days leafing through newspapers, polishing their armchairs, or licking the last crumbs of greasy KFC from the bucket. But, hey, you know, if by some miracle one of them did respond, whether with a pompous lecture or, better yet, summons to appear before them, oh, that would be glorious, man. Imagine the South African Human Rights Commission finally stirred from its slumber, actually taking notice of the people it claims to serve. Well, that would be fun and games, wouldn't you say? And for my cherished viewers, please let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. And if you found this episode at least interesting, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And while you're busy doing that, just hit the join button too, and don't suckle. Because here, we call it like it is. Well, to close things off, I'm going to share an excerpt from my very first book, Fragile. And yes, believe it or not, even there, I couldn't resist bringing up the South African Human Rights Commission. I would think I have a problem with them. Well, maybe I have. But anyway, sit back and enjoy, and I'll catch you next time.
The South African Human Rights Commission considers their proudest achievement taking credit for the banning of the old South African flag. Any semi-intelligent person in the rest of the world would probably be puzzled that South Africans' freedom of expression would be taken away by banning them from displaying an old flag, but felt that the public singing of a song that encourages the killing of white farmers is A-OK. Again, it makes you wonder just who decided that the extremely intelligent people serving on the Human Rights Commission were the best qualified to decide who may express their freedom of expression and who may not.